on.
Hello, welcome to Meet Me at the Movies. I am Noel T. Manning II, hanging out with Thomas Manning. We are talking cinema right here, coming to you from the remote studios, the remote C19 studios. We didn't need to have a name for these studios, Thomas. We don't have official names, so we're going to maybe ask our non-viewers, send us those emails. Info at c19.tv. There it is, info at c19.tv. Let us know what these studios need to be called, because we're coming to you from two different locations. So give us some thought, get creative, let us know. We care about what you say.
I mean, we can always count on our faithful non-viewers, because they will be there time
right.
and time again to not view all of this.
That's
So,
right.
and they will be there to not email as well. So
That's right, all 7 of them. That's exactly right. And we will consider your suggestions. We'll consider them. Well, Thomas, today we're going to dive into a few reviews, films that are still in theaters, and also hopefully recap some of our summer thoughts as we're winding down the summer season and getting ready to dive into the fall. Labor Day weekend, that's the end of it. So this is the wrap of the season for sure. All right, Thomas. There's a film called 1992 that you got a chance to check out early, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. A film that has a lot of interesting people connected behind the scenes. Snoop Dogg is connected behind the scenes, and on camera, Ray Liotta. Last feature film appearance of Ray Liotta that we know of. Is that correct?
yeah, that's right. So the film is called 1992, directed by Ariel Vroman, and takes place the last week of April in '92 in Los Angeles, when you had what became known as the Rodney King riots. Just really, reverberating throughout the entire city there. So that part on the periphery, though very much inspired by true events, those things happened. The actual story here is, a fictional narrative. Basically, the idea of what if someone used these riots as a cover for their heist. And I'm a huge heist film fan myself, always have been and always will be. So this definitely caught my attention right off the bat. But beyond that, I was very surprised that it's a story of fathers and sons just as much as it is a heist film. Basically, you have two families that are trying to survive and live their own lives, but they find themselves on a collision course. And this movie kind of feels like, I would describe it as a pressure cooker. For the audience, it's made clear early on that these two sets of fathers and sons, these two families are going to collide, but the characters themselves, they have no idea. So this goes back to the Alfred Hitchcock bomb under the table suspense theory that he would always talk about. And so I think it was very well done in terms of just building that incredible tension. Tyrese Gibson in the lead role, he plays a character named Mercer, who has a lot of history. He just recently got out of prison, but now he's kind of trying to go out on the straight and narrow, and he's trying to raise his son, Antoine. And Antoine is played by young actor Christopher Emmanuel, who is really good in this film as well. But basically, Mercer, he's been out of the picture for practically all of his son's life up to this point. And I think when the film focuses on that relationship, that's really one of the strongest aspects. And Tyrese Gibson's performance is really, really strong. There's just this deep sadness that he has in his eyes at all times that feels so almost like so honest that it's hard to believe it could have been fabricated from anything. Like, it feels like it comes from a very true, genuine place. So yeah, Tyrese. And then if you've seen him on the press circuit for this film, he is very enthusiastic about this project, and in all ways, in all emotions. He's had some great interviews where he's had some great vulnerable interviews, but he's also had some where you can tell he's just having so much fun, and that this kind of is giving him a chance to be the fullest version of himself. So that's been a lot of fun to see. And then, looking more to the comparison of those father-son dynamics, on one side you have, Scott Eastwood's character who's trying to make his dad proud. His dad is played by Ray Liotta. He's trying to make his dad proud by pulling off this impossible heist. And in a certain way, they're almost brought closer together by this criminal enterprise. But on the other hand, Tyrese wants his son to get as far away from the criminal life as possible. All he wants is for his son not to go down the same path as him. So I think basically two sides of the same coin between the two pairs of father and sons here, which I very much appreciated. If there's one thing that was a slight drawback, this is just me comparing it to other heist films, which is hard not to do. But when I think of films from the likes of Steven Soderbergh or your Michael Manns, and you look at these guys who are just absolute professionals at their jobs, and the pure confidence they have in everything, whether it's like your Al Pacino, Vincent Hanna in Heat, or your Danny Ocean, I think something that they do that in their performance that really convinces me that all of this is like extremely well researched and extremely accurate is just the confidence they have in their dialogue, especially when they're talking about the process of what they're doing in their heist, and talking about basically doing their job better than anybody else can. And I think that comes across in the written dialogue. And I think the dialogue in this film just doesn't have the same ring or the same spark to it that you would see in a Michael Mann or Soderbergh film. And I guess that's a bit of a minor gripe, but I do think that dialogue is one of the things that can take crime thrillers to an entirely new level. So that was one thing that I felt was missing. But really removed from that, I could watch a film like this, every month for the rest of my life and be happy with it. And it, in addition to being a very taut heist thriller, it is a great, very moving story of those father-son dynamics, and allowed, like I said, Tyrese and really all the actors to give a more vulnerable side, and so I was quite impressed with this film. And it's one of those that was originally going to go straight to VOD, but once they put the first trailer out there, Lionsgate saw it was getting a lot of engagement, a lot of hype, so they decided to give it a nationwide release, which I think that's pretty cool to see, especially for Ray Liotta's final performance.
Agreed. Yeah, seeing Ray Liotta on the big screen one more time is absolutely going to be a wonderful thing for audiences to be able to do. 1992 is the film, and as Thomas mentioned, Lionsgate released in select theaters now. And Thomas, what is your rating for 1992?
Yeah, I'll give 1992 a solid B.
Awesome. Solid B for 1992. Thomas got one more you're going to talk about that was just released recently as well. And this is a debut film. And if you blink twice, you might miss the title of this film, a psychological thriller directed by Zoe Kravitz. Her first time, behind the camera doing something like this.
Yes, that's right. Zoe Kravitz, her directorial debut. The cast here, you have performances from Naomi Ackie, Channing Tatum. Those are basically the two leads. But then on the periphery, you have people that I had no idea were going to be in this film, like Christian Slater, Haley Joel Osment, Adria Arjona, who we've seen her recently have a lot of success. She was in Hitman with Glenn Powell. She was in Andor. And then also Simon Rex. We saw him a couple years ago in Bottle Rocket, a performance that got some awards buzz. So really just stacked cast that I was pleasantly surprised every time one of these people came on screen that I didn't know they were going to be in it. But it's just like, well, shoot, there's Haley Joel Osment. There's the I See Dead People kid. There he is. So really fun to watch in that regard, and just a really interesting experience in that I had very little knowledge of what I was walking into when I went to see this film, and I think that is the best way to see it. I think for Kravitz as her directorial debut, I think her command of tone here is very impressive. And as the viewer, you're sitting here and you have a feeling that something bad is happening under the surface with these characters and this environment they're in and the intentions of some of the characters. But you're also almost tricked into believing, okay, it's not bad enough to be truly concerned yet. You think there's might be some Twilight Zone-ish type stuff, but like it's nothing that's gonna really, it's nothing like in the immediate danger at this moment. So you convince yourself, okay, it's okay. The truth will eventually be revealed, but it's not going to be that bad. And then eventually you're shown that it's far worse than you could have possibly imagined. And just from that experience, it's really intoxicating to watch it. It gets pretty brutal, bloody, and violent. Definitely a strong R rating. But I think Zoe Kravitz feels like she's already been directing movies for a decade, and you can tell that she's been a student of the filmmaking process across her 15 plus years on screen and working with different directors. Like looking at some of the directors she's worked with since 2007, you have Matthew Vaughn, you have M. Night Shyamalan, George Miller, Steven Soderbergh, Matt Reeves. So I think it's pretty obvious that she's taken every opportunity she can while she's on set to learn from some of these masters of the craft. And then also, Channing Tatum, that's her partner in real life. And the performance she gets out of him here is phenomenal. There's so many layers to his performance, and a lot of more sinister layers than you would expect. You know right off the bat that there's something to this guy, and he's kind of the tech bro billionaire, and he's done some shady things, but like I said, there's always more, and just the way he kind of hides that all in the layers of his performance is really brilliant. Blink twice. I say go see it, but don't really look up much about it before you do, and it'll be a pretty wild ride.
The movie was started in the mind of Zoe Kravitz back in 2017. She started thinking about this, and I don't think we mentioned that she's also the co-writer of this particular film as well. Or if we did, we'll mention it again because I think that's definitely worth noting. And took a little while to put this together, but as you said, it's something that's getting a lot of buzz. I remember the first trailer I saw, I said, man, this is some freaky stuff. And definitely, seeing it kind of had this kind of Get Out vibe to it. And would you say that that's a vibe that is well worth comparing it to with the film itself?
Yeah, that's a very good comparison on many levels. But also, I don't want it to sound like just comparing it to Get Out, like it's just a rip-off of Get Out, because it takes certain ideas but also explores them in a different way, and explores them in a unique way as to where you do feel like you're watching something truly new that you haven't seen before. And I think that's what great storytellers and great filmmakers can do, is to take something relatively familiar and then spin something even further beyond that.
Blink Twice is in theaters now, and it's released by Amazon MGM, so with a Warner Brothers connection as well. Thomas, what rating do you have for Blink Twice?
Yeah, I'll give a B+ to Blink Twice.
Okay, B+ for Blink Twice in theaters now, and you are watching Meet Me at the Movies with Noel Manning and Thomas Manning, and we are going to take a quick intermission. We're going to come back. Hopefully we'll talk about some of our summer films that stuck out to us as we reflect on the summer that was. Stick around. We'll be right back after this quick intermission.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hey, I'm David Allen, back as armchair quarterback host.
I'm Guy Suttle from C19 TV Sports.
And I'm Rob Roop from KTCBroadcasting.com.
What's in store on the gridiron? Each week we look at all 4 Cleveland County High School football teams: Burns, Crest, Kings Mountain, and Shelby. We will look at what happened the week before and look ahead at what's coming up this week.
and we'll also discuss ACC, SEC, and Gardner-Webb college football.
And of course, the NFL and those Carolina Panthers.
So don't miss another great season of football right here on Armchair Quarterback on C19 TV and online at c19.tv.
Hi, I'm Deb Harden, host of For Your Information. The goal of our show is to educate and entertain you about all things pets throughout Cleveland County. We have various guests joining me each month to talk about dogs, cats, pigs, whatever kind of pet you can think of. Also each month, we will be joined by some furry friends looking for their forever homes. For your information each month, right here on C19 TV and online at www.c19.tv.
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch a flick?
Hello and welcome to Meet Me at the Movies, or welcome back to Meet Me at the Movies if you joined us during the first part of the show. Noel T. Manning II here with Thomas Manning. We are talking cinema, and it is official. Summer is over at the box office, and we're diving into the fall season. So Thomas and I thought we'd spend the last half of this show reflecting on some of these movies that kind of stand out to us for one reason or another over the course of the summer, and we'll just give you a few of them. These are not all that stand out, but as much as we have time for today. So Thomas, I'll start off with a movie that is probably the one that I'm going to probably go to the most, and it's probably, I would say, two of these films from the summer I want to talk about. But the first one is The Fall Guy, and that was kind of the preseason for the summer box office. But there was just something about that film. It had the action, it had the comedy, and it had the chemistry, and everything about that movie worked for me. And I saw that as your traditional, I would say your traditional kind of summer popcorn flick. And I just loved that movie. And I've already watched it a few other times since that theatrical run, and so I'm just so glad that we got a chance to see The Fall Guy, which was a remake of an old TV series, and even had some cameos from that TV series. But just loved so many aspects of this. I love the meta humor, where if you love film and you know some film trivia, you're going to get a lot of stuff that was thrown at you in this particular film. But The Fall Guy is definitely one on my list that I'll go back to multiple times.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that's been having more fun recently than Ryan Gosling across his roles, whether it's Ken and then performing at the Oscars with that, and then this film. And he is really, he's been acting for close to 20 years now, and started out in a totally different arena than where he is right now. But he has really hit his stride and found exactly where he wants to be. And so, yeah, if he keeps making movies like The Fall Guy, I am all in. And obviously, we have the Last of the Mohicans reference in there. That anytime a movie references Last of the Mohicans, that just automatically takes it up into another stratosphere. Also, Taylor Swift, All Too Well, Needle Drop. So The Fall Guy it's got pretty much everything I could want from a movie. So I'm glad you mentioned that one, because that's one that I've had a ton of fun with and will continue to revisit many more times.
All right, Thomas, what would you have on your list as you reflect on the summer that was 2024?
Yeah, so another early summer film that actually didn't get a theatrical release here in the States, although it got a theatrical only release in Canada, which I learned when I was on my trip a few weeks ago and talking to a friend of the show, Eric Marchin, and learned that the film The Hitman, directed by Richard Linklater and Glenn Powell, was theatrical only up there, but released on Netflix down here. And this movie is, I think I was watching this, it was like after midnight when I was watching this, and I was sitting there drinking a black coffee, and by the end I was just like standing up, clapping, just pumping my fist, because it plays to every single one of Glenn Powell's strengths as an actor, and just this unbelievable screen presence and charisma that he has that I think is comparable to another Linklater muse, Matthew McConaughey, and he's got that Texan spirit in him, and every single frame of this film that he's in, and that also Aldria Orzorna is in. Like we mentioned her performance in Blink Twice. Their chemistry in this just crackles and sparks. So yes, I love The Hitman, and it was everything I wanted in an early summer movie. And I do wish I could have seen it with a crowd on the big screen. But I'm just happy I got to see it at all. I'm very happy that it exists as it does.
Yes, Glenn Powell in The Hitman, and Glenn Powell, I think, also had another film this summer as well, Thomas, that might make a interesting double feature. Am I correct that maybe he was in one that was probably your mom's favorite film of the summer? She loved it so much she went back to see it twice in the theater.
Yeah. Well, in this one, he plays not exactly from Texas, but from Oklahoma, really out there generally in the same geographical area. We're talking about Twisters, of course, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, director of Minari, in this follow-up to Jan de Bont's 1996 masterpiece of a disaster thriller. And what Lee Isaac Chung did with this follow-up and making it as character driven as possible and keeping those emotional roots that I think was a huge aspect of what made the original so successful. What he did here was I was very, very pleased with. And another thing I like about Twisters is, and I think Lee Isaac Chung has described it this way, it's basically a monster movie. And as they go to there's a scene in a movie theater at the end of this where they're watching the Frankenstein film, and he said that was kind of a little meta homage, meta look at the film itself and how the tornado itself is kind of a monster. So I really like that. And then Daisy Edgar Jones, she's basically a final girl from a horror film, and I just really, there's so much about Twisters that I could sit here and we could probably do a whole hour-long show on that film in itself. But I will let you get to a few points with it as well, because I know it's one that has a special place in your heart.
Yeah, I love the original, and when I heard they were doing this kind of spin-off of it, I said, I'll go see it. And your mom knew she would be checking it out too. Your mom loves disaster films, and she was on this kind of disaster kick all summer long and prep for this and even afterwards. And so Twisters, it was one of those films for me, Thomas. I loved every single thing about it. I loved the characters. I loved how they did place, they played homage or paid homage to the original, but it wasn't so wrapped up in the original that you had to see it to know what they were doing. And it was just a beautiful way of saying, hey, thank you, but here's something for a new audience. It did it so well. So Twisters, a solid film that I am going to own when it comes out for home delivery. Well, Thomas, we've got just about 4 minutes, so I want to make sure you get at least one more in, and I'd love to get one more in as well as we reflect on the summer that was 2024.
Yeah, so one I'll mention that I think there was a lot of buzz around the time it released, but it quickly fizzled out. But that shouldn't have been the case because it's a terrific film, is The Bike Riders, directed by Jeff Nichols, alum from UNC School of the Arts, also a Reel-to-Reel Film Festival alumni. I think this is the movie he's kind of been working toward his entire career. And incredible cast: Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, Jodie Comer, Michael Shannon. And it really is a really tragic look at the expectations for masculinity in a way, and how if you try to set your expectations there too high and then don't live up to them, how it can really just break people, and they have no idea how to process those emotions and how to actually move on and move forward and figure out what to do with their lives other than that. If they have this idea that they build up, but they don't know how to or they don't fully attain that, then it just kind of breaks them. And I think, it's an incredible exploration of that, and it is basically it is based on a true story and based on a book that was written by a photojournalist who had spent some time with this bike gang in the Midwest in the Chicago area. But yeah, the bike riders, just in terms of the authenticity of that time period, it feels about as accurate as you can get. And I think, more people need to see this film because it deserves it. And I'm kind of sad it didn't get as much love at the box office. But Bike Riders, it's a great one, and I would highly recommend it.
And I'll share that there's another film that's like the Bike Riders on steroids in a post-apocalyptic future, Furiosa Mad Max Saga. More people really should have seen this film as well. It was an amazing ride from Anya Taylor-Joy, who played Furiosa, who we were introduced to in Fury Road a few years ago. And it was just a magnificent looking film, but I loved the story as well. So that's one I wish more people had seen. And I do want to make sure I mention, because we're about out of time, but the top 2 films at the box office of the summer could not be more different. And I'm talking about international box office, Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2. Both of these films hit $1 billion internationally, and Inside Out 2 is the first animated film to hit $1 billion on the international level, and that is pretty amazing for that to happen. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned those 2 for that reason. Anything else you want to make sure you mention? We've got about 30 seconds, Thomas.
One more fun film that had, it's fun in a unique way, but Trap, the M. Night Shyamalan film with Justin Hartnett, and just go in with it and just let Shyamalan take you on this weird, wonderful ride that he always does. So
awesome. We appreciate you guys spending time with us right here on Meet Me at the Movies. We look back at some of those films in the summer of 24 that stuck with us for one reason or another. We hope you have enjoyed your time at the box office this summer, whether that's your home box office or whether you're going to theaters. Much more to come this fall as we dive into awards season. So we're going to be talking a lot of that as we dive into the next few months. Well, I appreciate you guys spending time with us. You could always email us, info@c19.tv. Do appreciate Tim Foster for making sure that we stay on target. And he's got a big job. Trust me, he's got a really, really big job. But I really appreciate Tim for allowing us to do this and to have fun in talking about film. And until next time, for the entire cast and crew right here on Meet Me at the Movies, for Thomas Manning, I'm Noel T. Manning II, and that's a wrap.
Many films to view until we meet again. Next time we see you, we'll gladly fill you in. We'll tell about the happy and the sad ones. We'll talk about the good ones and the bad ones. Many films to view till we meet again.